Hi, Deepti. Nice to see more essays from you. Let's take a look. Okay. Let's see, take a look at what you've written here. Shopping is one of the most popular forms of leisure activity. Reasons, and is it positive or negative? Okay, so it's a two-question essay. And the best way to approach this is to answer the first question in the first body paragraph, and then in the second body paragraph, answer this question. And of course, you want to give us kind of a heads up about what your response is in your introduction. So let's see how you did with this. Subject of increased shopping. This is awkward. Increased shopping trend. So let's get rid of the word trend because I think that's making it awkward. So the subject of increased shopping is often a point of contention amongst various schools of thoughts, igniting fervent debates regarding its impacts and implications. Okay. Apparently originated from the boredom of people, shopping is emerging as a popular pastime. As a result, it is causing very harmful impacts. Usually, impact should be singular. It is causing, and I wouldn't even say very, I don't know, it's almost a little too wordy, very harmful impact. It's just harmful impact. So, as a result, it is causing harmful impact on the environment, and many countries are unable to solve issues of rising garbage. Personally, I believe to a great extent that purchasing more products than required is tremendously detrimental for the environment, and I will substantiate my position in the following paragraphs. Okay, so you're telling us the reasons is boredom, and you're telling us that you think it's bad. Okay, let's see what you did. Firstly, it is important to consider the reasons why the, not just young, the young generation is buying items which they do not even need. It is seen that changes in the society and lifestyles of people play a great role in this trend. Nowadays, people are more isolated and they participate less often in social activities than they used to in the old days. Consequently, they are using shopping as a distraction and engaging themselves by buying merchandise either in stores or online on their phones. It would be fair to state that online shopping has also become an obsession for many youngsters to get away from their boredom. Scrolling through the products on screens and buying clothing, accessories, and you mean gadgets. Okay, it's spelled differently. It's GADGET. Gadgets without getting out of their homes has become a norm nowadays. Okay. So I really liked your paragraph. I thought you did a nice job. You talked about isolation. You said they're not as social. You say it's a distraction. It's become an obsession to get away from boredom. So I like what you did. I'm wondering if maybe you could have rephrased your your introduction. It's not just boredom that you're talking about here. Boredom is just one part. It almost sounds like you're talking really just about our isolation. Okay, so why are youngsters bored? Because they're isolated. They're not with their friends. They're hanging out at home and they don't go anywhere. So maybe this would have been a better word to use as it really encapsulates your central idea a little better. Okay, so I would have made this, yeah, apparently originated from the isolation of people. I think it fits better. Okay, it's not a big deal. It's not a big it's not like a huge deal, like detail, but I still think it would have made it better. Okay. Okay. There is no doubt. Now, let me tell you another thing before I go to there is no doubt. You wrote firstly here. Now, remember the rule about this. We only use firstly if it's followed by a secondly. There is no secondly here. Okay. So, quite honestly, you could have left it out. You didn't have to have a firstly. You could have just started your paragraph with, it is important to consider the reasons why the young generation is buying items, etc. Okay? So, it's okay. I know a lot of times people are very kind of insecure and they feel they absolutely have to have some sort of a linker there, okay, or like an introductory linker. Not necessary. Sometimes you just want to get straight into it. In fact, that's what you did here, and it reads totally fine, okay? So don't feel that you have to have something. You could have said to begin, and that would have been okay, because to begin does not require you to have like to wrap up or something. It goes on its own. Okay, so that would have been a better idea. Whereas firstly does require a secondly. All right, so there is no doubt about the negative impact. Again, it should be singular of excessive shopping on the environment. Okay, I would have rephrased this. I mean, it's okay, but it would have been clearer to me if you had said there is no doubt about the negative impact excessive shopping has on the environment. The negative impact excessive shopping has on the environment. I think it would have been better. A crucial point to note is that extra shopping is unhealthy for buyers as well because the products are only bought to pass time and for momentary respite from loneliness. Okay, we're going to talk about this. According to a survey by Indian Express, 89% of people buy at least 6 clothing items every month, which are worn only once and thrown away. Not only does this highlight the multifaceted nature of prodigality, that's an interesting word. I've seen it as an adjective, never seen it as a noun, but okay. It also sheds light on the myriad, careful with myriad, people always use it wrong. So it also sheds light on the, you know what, endless influence it had. No, I don't like that either. First of all, influence is just singular. Okay, so don't make it plural and don't make it myriads, obviously, because it's singular. And I would have just changed this around. It also sheds light on the um huh uh wide effect it has on the environment. Yeah, I know. You're probably thinking, oh, Ellen, wide effect. It's so basic. Yeah, but you know what? Sometimes these kind of like common expressions, they're the most precise and they're the most natural. Okay. This whole thing about myriads of influences to me feels completely unnatural. All right. So if I were to write this, as like an educated native speaker, I might actually write the wide effect or the broad effect or the um vast. I don't know if I would have said the vast effect. That sounds kind of weird. But yeah, I would have used probably effect. Okay. Certainly not influence. Although wastage, which is produced, you could have just said waste. Again, there's no reason to say wastage. All the waste which is produced by this is polluting the environment as, I don't know who they is. It is collected and burned in most cases, the waste. Therefore, getting rid of the waste, again, is a monumental task for the governments of various countries. So profound is the impact of excessive shopping on the environment that it would be ill advised to ignore its consequences. All right, that's a great sentence grammatically. I like it. Now let's look at the way you organized it. So you did a couple of things here that I thought were a little strange in terms of your organization. When I first read this sentence, I was like, oh, okay. So Deepti is going to talk about the environment and the effect of it the whole time, right? But then you didn't, okay? So remember something. The first sentence in your paragraph is often called a topic sentence, and it's supposed to present the main idea of your paragraph. So when I read that topic sentence, I was like, oh, okay, so it's the effect on the environment. And then all of a sudden you switched and then you talked about it's unhealthy for buyers because it only passes the time and gives them a momentary respite. All right. And then you talked about all the stuff they throw away. And I was like, okay, well, what's that related to? Is that related to just buying to pass the time? Is that related to the environment? So that was a little strange to me. And then you wrote, not only does this highlight the multifaceted nature, et cetera, but also shit. Okay. So then you started talking about the environment again. So I thought this organization was not ideal. Okay. Partially because your paragraph did not talk just about the environment. Okay. You talked about loneliness. You talked about this kind of throwaway culture. You talked about just being like wasteful. All right. And then yeah, part of this was um about the environment. So I think you needed to kind of bring this in a little better. Um, Let me see how you could have done that. Give me a second to think about it. I think one way you could have dealt with this is by saying something like this. There is no doubt uh, about the negative impact of excessive shopping, not only on the environment, but on people's well-being as well. Okay. So when you bring in this whole issue of people's well-being, then it makes sense for you to say that they buy this stuff to pass time and it's a momentary respite, okay? But then I would have continued with this idea. So great. Once the item is bought, it momentarily provides some sort of satisfaction. And then soon thereafter, the consumer needs to get his or her fix again. Okay, so you could have written another sentence there, and then this would have made sense. Then it all flows better into the idea. I don't really like the word here. I think I told you that. And then you could have talked about the environment, and then it makes sense. So just some small changes here, I think would have made a big difference. Okay. All right. In conclusion, changes in lifestyle and social behavior have created a new favorite activity for people, which is not only, ooh, I don't know about that word, unwholesome. That's not the right word. That's not precise. It's not carrying the meaning. You could have just said, which is not only detrimental for them. I mean, it is. You didn't talk about also, I think you could have, maybe you could have talked about like what this means in terms of debt, and that a lot of people are going into major credit card debt and becoming bankrupt and losing their homes and so forth and so forth. Okay. So, in conclusion, changes in lifestyle and social behavior have created a new favorite activity for people, which is not only detrimental for them, but also for the environment. It is essential to consider the broader picture of how this widespread behavior to pass time is polluting the environment and might lead to serious problems. All right, that's lovely. Okay, so Deepti, it's a good essay, not one that is completely without errors, but it's nice. You're definitely on the right track. Little things that I absolutely wanted you to change, though. Okay, let's take a look at this letter about the train owner, where you were going, what problems, and what actions. Okay. Dear Sir, Madam, I'm writing to express my disappointment at the conditions of railway services provided by your company. Recently, I traveled from Delhi to Mumbai, not in, but on or with Delhi Express. One of this would be better here. My train was scheduled to arrive at New Delhi station at 2 p.m., and I had a booking for a first tier ACC. I cannot stress enough. Not on. You don't stress on the problems. You stress the problems. I cannot stress enough the problems I faced during my journey. First of all, the train arrived 4 hours late and I had to wait at the station in the afternoon. The temperature was 39 degrees centigrade on that day, and the discomfort due to this can be imagined. Secondly, once I boarded the train, to my dismay, I found the coach in a very dirty condition. There were old newspapers and empty water bottles on the floor, apparently used by previous passengers. In addition to that, the air conditioning was not functioning properly, which could not cool down my coach to less than 32 degrees centigrade. I want you to say degrees here for some reason. The humidity and the heat it's not one thing, it's two things. So the humidity and the heat were unbearable and not at all expected in a first class AC coach. This is the first time I had ever, careful, because you're saying this is the first time. So it should be this was the first time I had ever faced such an uncomfortable journey. Or this is the first time I have ever faced. Okay? That's the rule about using the first time. Let's see. I would like you to take notice of the poor services by your company as it used to be excellent at some point. Before coaches are ready to travel, their cleanliness should be made sure. That's a little awkward, Deepti. Uh, Before coaches are ready to travel, their cleanliness should be ensured. Maybe should be ensured. I think is better. Also, please look into the maintenance of air conditioners, as clearly ACs were not in good working condition. Careful, I took out the and I took out the plural. It is expected not to have, it is expected to be about 25 degrees Celsius. Inside the train, I got rid of temperature, irrespective of the heat outside, which was clearly not the case. I would request you to look into the AC's just condition, not conditions, and keep. All right, so hang on. If you're talking about multiple ACs, then you don't need an apostrophe here. I would request you to look into the ACs after it. apostrophe, after the S apostrophe, because it's multiple ACs, condition, and keep them well maintained to work in peak seasons too. Okay. I expect my complaints, not would, I expect my complaints to be given deserved notice and actions be taken. Okay, not will, because it's I expect my complaints to be given and be taken, actions be taken to rectify the issues I mentioned. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I look forward to experiencing ing, because this is not to meaning full infinitive, it's to meaning ing gerund. Okay, so I look forward to experiencing good quality service without the a in the near future. Yours faithfully. All right, that's good. So I liked this. You saw that towards the end you had some errors with grammar and some like odd things happening. On the whole, I thought it was written very well. I thought it was lovely. Yeah, I mean, well written, nice language. You had some really high level grammar, so all that was good. What I want you to work on is just being consistently error free. So some of the errors you saw, they tripped me up a little bit. They created some awkwardness. And so you don't want the examiner to have to slow down and kind of be like, well, what does this mean? Oh, this, you don't want that. It's one thing if it's just like a little mistake and you're just like, okay, it's not a big deal. Okay, like where was it? I look forward to experience. Like that's not a big deal. Like as an examiner, that doesn't confuse me. Do you understand what I mean? But there are other ones where I'm like, wait a minute, what's happening here? Those are the ones you want to avoid. Okay, so keep that in mind as you continue to revise and improve. And yeah, keep at it. Okay, Deepti, good job. Looking forward to another set from you in the near future. Good luck.